is king in the NFL. From one game to the next, even the things that feel like they're guaranteed can all of a sudden evaporate out of nowhere. There are highs, there are lows, some things take time, and some things immediately ascend or immediately crumble. The same can of course be said not just for games and teams, but players' careers as well. When their careers begin, so too do the stories of their own journeys through the league. Each authors his own path with his own highs and lows, but often their stories come without a clear linear narrative. Sometimes there's instant success and then nothing. Sometimes there's nothing and then greatness, but more often than not, players have middling average careers. However, every now and then there's a clear, visible breakout trajectory that's bubbling under the surface. Developing into a Pro Bowl caliber player or even future All-Pro isn't easy to do, but after creating and defining a formula for identifying breakouts that are about to happen, there's one bad man sitting at the top of the list, and his name is Brian Burns. The Panthers' 16th overall pick from 2019 is just 23 years old and heading into his third season. He's never been to the Pro Bowl, he's not a household name by any means, he doesn't even play full-time. So why is he about to blow up? When defining our breakout formula, it's clear that Burns checks off each of the three categories. He has quality production, and it's trending upwards. He's incredibly, ridiculously talented, and his playing time and role in the defense has plenty of room to grow. To get started, we'll begin with the first one and look at the trends and improvement in his production from his first year to his second. In his rookie season, he had 7.5 sacks and 16 quarterback hits. Then last year, he had 9 sacks and 21 quarterback hits. In 2020 alone, he had the third most hurries in the league, and he had the third fastest average time to pressure amongst all defensive linemen, just 2.45 seconds, 0.3 faster than the NFL average. These stats kind of begin to bleed into the second category, but he had the fastest time get off of point blank anybody in the NFL. 3/4 of a second is all he needs to cross the line of scrimmage, which is quicker than any edge pass rusher, outside linebacker, anybody. And now looking at him from purely a talent perspective, Burns ticks every single box. He's blindingly fast off the line of scrimmage, not only in his movement, but his ability to time the snap count. He attacks the lineman's outside shoulder relentlessly with a variety of moves he's refined and re-refined in his second season. His bendiness around the edge after he's exploded off the ball is incredible, and there are even other aspects of his game outside of being a borderline elite pass rusher that makes him pop off the film. Offenses have to constantly run away from him due to him consistently establishing the edge or blowing up the run, but they almost have to run play action towards him because of how quickly he flies up the field and ruins the play fake. He can identify the subtleties in an offense's alignment, tendencies, and mannerisms so he can attack the ball carrier at full speed. And he mentioned he dedicated more time to film study after his rookie season to gain a better understanding of how offensive linemen are trying to block him. Generally, O-linemen use vertical sets against him, where they drop almost straight backwards to beat him to the edge when he's attacking with speed. Sometimes they'll jump set him to try and throw off his timing and get hands on him quicker, but Burns understands they predominantly use that vertical set. Regardless, his mindset is all about speed. He's going to attack that lineman's outside shoulder as fast as he possibly can. He knows linemen try to stay between the pass rusher and the quarterback at all times, so he always sets his track directly at the QB, and if the lineman can't get there in time, he'll just fly right past him. But where he's really improved is not so much the depth of his arsenal of moves, but the subtle variations off of that main speed move once he's charging upfield. He is really good at anticipating what linemen will do when they're beat, and since he's beating them off the ball almost all the time anyway, when they can't maintain their position between him and the QB, they'll often extend their arm in a last-ditch effort, so Burns uses a chop move to weaken that arm. And by the way, the crease of that elbow is exactly where you want to make contact to sap the lineman's strength. Then he's able to sink his hips to get parallel to the QB and blow up the play. When linemen are able to vertical set quickly enough to choke off the edge, that's where Burns' signature move, his ghost technique, comes into play, which pairs nicely with the other moves we've seen him use thus far in this episode. When David Bakhtiari takes a nice deep vertical set and gets himself in good position, Burns wants to threaten him back inside to hold him in place and soften the edge outside. As we've talked about before on this channel, the battle between the O-line and D-line is all about who can get the other to shoot their hands first. It's like a giant game of chicken. Bakhtiari wants Burns to make a move with his hands first so he can counter them and take away his momentum. So Burns' ghost technique is him pretending to shoot his hands. Bakhtiari isn't going to keep moving towards the edge when Burns shows him that ghost move because he thinks contact is coming. But then Burns immediately ducks under his reach and uses his back to shield Bakhtiari from recovering. Sometimes he doesn't finish on sacks because he prioritizes trying to strip the ball first, so that doesn't always show up on the stat sheet, but certainly has a major effect on the game. He's even able to blend multiple moves together, where it'll kind of be like a ghost move with a chop hybrid, where for most guys, the ghost move is a flash of the hand and then a dip around the edge with no contact, but Burns chops to weaken that edge, then dips underneath while still picking up speed. His commitment to film study, as we talked about, has been a major factor in his development from years 1 to 2, and he's also able to use that film study in-game to set linemen up later on. This play came early in the first quarter against the left tackle Taylor Decker. Burns sees that he's vertical setting basically straight backwards because he's terrified of his speed. So Burns knows that since Decker is in position, there's really no point in trying to take that edge. So he uses what's called speed to power, which starts out as a speed rush attacking outside the lineman's frame, but then turns into a power bull rush type of move where he aims straight through Decker's chest. He gets some nice push, and his ability to power linemen off the ball is something he still needs to improve on, but he doesn't count this as a wasted rep. He knows he's picked up a data point he can use to better attack Decker the next time they face off. They didn't get to truly go 1v1 in a straight pass rush situation many times in the game, but a few quarters later on 3rd and 10, Burns knows what Decker wants to do and weaponizes that data point to his advantage. Decker again takes a vertical set straight backwards, but now we can see he's sitting down a bit more and is playing heavier inside in anticipation of another speed to power move. Burns is really good at making everything look the same until the very last second. He fakes like he's going to speed to power and rush right through Decker, but again uses the ghost move to dip around the edge while also kinda pairing it with the chop to weaken Decker's strength. His natural bend is absolutely ridiculous, but it's still important to use proper technique even when you have the lineman beat. He's able to get his inside leg all the way through his body while deploying his move in order to get his hips reset directly towards the QB to maintain a good angle. If he hadn't been able to do that, Decker might have been able to recover and just push him up the field. All of these moves he has off the edge are a repetitive bad dream for any offensive tackle, but what turns them into a nightmare is Burns proving he can win both outside and inside and threaten you in any which way. He developed a nasty spin move that he can use to either side, which makes for a devastating counter when linemen sell out for the outside speed rush. It still appears exactly like he's attacking the outside shoulder, and when he puts his hand up, that could be the straight chop move outside or the ghost chop, but then when he spins back inside this quickly, that's a lineman's own personal hell. The Panthers even designed plays around his spinning ability, where they fake a stunt with a D tackle pretending to penetrate into the B gap and Burns pretending to loop inside to the A gap, but then he uses that tightly wrapped lightning fast spin to the outside and is able to knock down Mahomes. Another area that sets him apart is his ability to vision the quarterback and collect additional information during the down while focusing on beating his man. A lot of pass rushers don't have the vision to see anything beyond the man they have to beat, but here Burns is able to adjust when he sees the running back chipping him outside. Even though the right tackle isn't in position to take away the speed rush, Burns realizes that's because he's getting help from the running back on the edge, so he on the fly spins back inside, and I mean, just look at the bend he has in his hips to throw him upfield, sink him into the ground, and then propel himself back inside. That is not of this world. He has impressive production and honestly jaw-dropping talent. And looking at our third category in the breakout formula, his playing time and role in the defense can still improve in 2021. Last year, he only played 71% of the snaps on defense, partly because he played a lot on special teams, which is kinda hilarious. Imagine like Von Miller on special teams. So if the Panthers allow him to focus solely on defense, I think he'll get more snaps and pass rush opportunities. The other thing is that even in that already low 71% snap share, he's dropping back into coverage more than 10% of the time, and he's actually really good in coverage. But given his skill set, the Panthers need to unleash him as a full-time pass rusher and have him drop back as in occasional changeup. They also drop 8 defenders into coverage more than anybody and play a lot of dime personnel where Burns comes off the field. So there are aspects of their scheme that don't entirely fit him, but even so, Burns has shown remarkable improvement in just his first 2 seasons in the league and is only 23 years old. All of his numbers have trended upward after his already impressive rookie season, and his production in year 2 was very good. His talent and ability to develop and refine his game is almost shocking, and there are still a lot of ways for him to grow in this defense. Crazy, insane, stupefying things happen every year in the NFL, and it often feels like there's no rhyme or reason to how the events transpire. But every now and then, we can see those stories slowly unfolding in front of us. A clear year-over-year progression with plenty of room to get even better equals a player ready to explode. Brian Burns has the makings of the next great NFL pass rusher. He's already been really good in the past. But in 2021, he is gonna break out.